Hey guys, it's Lisa from NYC Gal Out. Welcome back to my channel. We are talking Real Housewives of Orange County. Season 18, episode 7. The ladies are still on their separate girls outing. One is at Bear Mountain and the other is at La Quinta. You know, in each episode, I go back and forth whether or not I like a cast member for that particular episode. So in this episode, I really liked Jen. These last two episodes, I really liked her. Gina, I didn't like her last episode. I'm starting to like her again in this episode. I still like Heather. I still do not like Alexis, and I still do not like Tamra. Basically, I think Alexis is one of those hypocritical religious zealots that uses religion as an excuse when it's convenient for her. She actually kind of reminds me of Mary Cosby. Mary Cosby, I personally feel like, is another person that also conveniently uses religion when she feels it's excusable to her. I feel like, what the hell could John Janssen had possibly told Alexis to make her have like this weird ass breakdown? First of all, Alexis, I feel like your acting is so awful. Like, it's like the worst thing I've ever seen. It's like she went to like the Melissa Gorga School of Acting or some shit, because the way she was carrying on and being so hysterical when she was with Katie and she got a call from John Janssen that allegedly Shannon did something, and now she's going to release videos of Shannon, on the incriminating videos of Shannon. And so apparently these videos are videos that John Janssen has from his Ring camera. Here's the thing though, even if it is like a Ring camera and everything, the laws in California, they're very strict about this sort of stuff. Even if it's something recorded on your Ring camera, you cannot use it to try to like intimidate someone, to try to blackmail someone, to try to whatever it is that you're trying to do. Obviously, we have not seen that footage, right? But Alexis had apparently told Katie that, you know, the footage that she has, or that John Janssen has, is, you know, that Shannon was trying to run over John's daughter or something. Look, I am a casual viewer of OC, so I don't even know like what the hell's been going on, which is why I really appreciate that like 21-minute little recap episode that was narrated by Katie. Did you guys watch that? I really enjoyed that. Shannon, as she's still dealing with the $75,000 lawsuit, she breaks down with the ladies in her group. They're all very supportive of her, and when Shannon got upset like that, I totally felt for her. I think all the ladies did, because they all rallied around her. So she explains it from her perspective, and her perspective is that she was the one that paid for everything, and she felt like it was a gift, like, you know, the money for the facelift and whatever else. She said she never signed anything. She never signed a promissory note. She never signed a contract. She never signed anything stating that it is a loan. Now, one of the ways that you could prove that you and another person had a verbal contract, you know, for repayment and that this was a loan or whatever, is if that other person had made any payment. So if I was to lend you $100, and even though we don't have any sort of written acknowledgement, we have a verbal acknowledgement, and they were like, well, what proof do you have that this was indeed a loan and not a gift? One of the evidence that you could show is that if you have text messages, correspondence, whatever, that stated the other person is acknowledging that it is a loan. Messages like saying, you know, hey, when will you be able to pay me back? And if the other person replies with, oh, hey, sorry, but I'm short this week, I'll get you back next time. Now, even if you don't give me that $20 next week, that is still acknowledgement that you consider, or that I consider, and we had an agreement, because you are acknowledging that you are going to give me some sort of repayment, you know, even if you don't end up giving me that $20 that you say you're going to give me from your paycheck. And that is something that you would be able to use as evidence in court. Something else that would be able to use as evidence in court is if you actually gave me the $20. So John Janssen is probably going to make the argument that this was acknowledged as a verbal agreement, a verbal contract, and that it was a loan. He's looking for $75,000. She's saying, you know, he's asking for $75,000, but it was really $65,000. Shannon feels, we were in a relationship where I paid for everything. I paid for the hotel. I paid for the food. I paid for the, you know, every time we went somewhere. She stated that she even paid for like some sort of family vacation with him and his kids and all this other stuff. So, but she wants to fight it in court. And she stated something like, you know, I don't want to give him even $1. I really felt very bad for Shannon. I just thought it was really interesting, like whatever fake ass camera friendship that Alexis and Tamra is trying to convince the audience. I do not genuinely think that either one of them are genuinely friends. And despite what Tamra is trying to say, you do not get over something like somebody suing you. And, you know, she's stating that she had to spend a lot of money on lawyers, whatever, to fight it in court and whatever. So even though Jim Bellino didn't win the case and the case was dismissed, she still had to spend money fighting the court case. I do think that it is kind of like fucked up and weird that like Alexis is now in a relationship with another man who has sued Shannon. And of course, there's still like that bullshit that's going on with Katie and Heather and whether or not she called the paparazzi. And now that fight has like also, linked Gina into it as well. Though I kind of feel like Gina, she was always involved with it because I felt like Gina was being messy. And because she was being messy, there were conversations that was like misinterpreted between Katie and Heather with Gina trying to like be in the middle of all of it. Emily and Gina, they get into it also during pickleball. Like they didn't even actually play pickleball. They just had the racket and like was waving it around each other's face, and they had like a screaming match. And yeah, that was like basically their game of pickleball, not playing pickleball, but just holding the racket and looking cute in their little outfits. But Emily, what I liked that she stated, and she brought Katie around and was like, I love Katie. She's such a great girl and all this other stuff. And she's going around basically telling everybody how much she loves Katie, really gassing her up and blowing her up. And then all of a sudden, as soon as Heather tells her that she disapproves and that she has beef with Katie, then all of a sudden, Gina is kowtowing to Heather and she's kicking Katie to the curb. And Emily is just like, well, what kind of person does that make you? How authentic and genuine are you with your friendship if that's how you're acting? Which I totally agree with. I know that like Gina and a few of the other ladies were saying that it seemed to be like a competition between Emily and Tamra on who could be the bigger bitch, who could be the bigger asshole. I actually think is a competition between Emily and Heather. I felt like that was an excellent argument to make because I felt the exact same way watching this season that like, Gina just like she kicked Katie to the curb as soon as Heather disapproved. Like obviously her friendship with Heather is more important. So I felt really bad for Shannon in this episode. She had a lot of very heartfelt crying, and the kind of crying that I saw her do, as a grown ass woman, I've had cries like that before myself. So I felt the emotions from her through my TV screen. I could actually feel the emotions that she had. The part that I actually got teary-eyed at was when they were still at La Quinta, and when she cried into Emily's arms like that, I really, really felt those emotions because again, I've cried like that before myself. I said that in this episode, I liked Jen a little bit more. I liked her last episode also, and I like her a little more in this episode. I didn't really like her in a few of the earlier episodes of the season because I kind of felt like she's kind of financially stupid. But there are moments where I do like her. I do like her qualities that I see in her. One of the scenes that I really like of her from this episode was when she was talking to Tamra and basically saying, the way that you are acting towards Shannon, you're not doing it the right way. And, Shannon needs somebody to be a friend of her, and like, you're not really helping the situation by putting her down. She didn't say any of that. I'm paraphrasing what was said, but you guys get the gist of it. And, same thing with Gina, because I was like going back and forth with Gina. One episode I like her, and the other I'm like, no, what the hell? No, I don't like her. But in this episode, it was kind of like a mixed bag because with Gina, certain scenes, I felt like, oh my God, like what the fuck is going on? But with other scenes, I was like, all right, she seems like a cool girl. So the scene that I felt like Gina was being kind of like a cool girl was when she was talking with Tamra and she was saying to Tamra, like, same thing that Jen was basically saying. And it was just that the way you're coming at Shannon, you're the one that looks like an asshole because you're being so aggressive and, she's trying. And Tamra, she thought that she was going to be able to win Gina over by stating something like, oh, well, you didn't have an alcohol problem when you got your DUI. She has that Machiavellian personality where she feels like, she is the mastermind. She's the smartest person in the room. She's able to read everybody. She knows it all. Her and Bethany Franco are very much alike. And yeah, that's basically the episode. I still like Katie. Katie's still my favorite. And I guess Katie and Heather, they still have that whole paparazzi bullshit that they're probably going to be beefing with each other for the rest of the season. Gina jumps into it for the mid-season trailer. Gina calls Katie a liar. They seem to get into it, so that'll be interesting. I feel a little bit bad because Katie is the new girl and she's not really going to have anybody in her corner when Heather is going up against her about the whole paparazzi bullshit. Gina, she's obviously going to side with Heather, and the thing with Tamra is like planting these things in Katie's head to make her feel a certain way. So Tamra, while she's like, with Katie on her own, one-on-one, or away from Heather and Gina, Tamra is telling Katie all this other stuff and making Katie feel a certain way so that Katie is basically hyping herself up to feeling attacked by Heather and Gina. So Katie's already going to feel a certain way. But Tamra is not going to be supportive of Katie. I think Katie should wisen up to that. These things that Tamra is telling her is not because she has any genuine affection or concern about Katie or that she wants to give her a heads up or she's looking out for her or whatever else. It's because Tamra is being a sloppy, messy ass drama queen. We see John Janssen coming to some sort of events, and that is going to be awkward as fuck. I am not interested in seeing John Janssen. I'm not interested in even seeing freaking Jesus Barbie. Like, Alexis needs to go. The only reason, and I really do believe this, the only reason why Alexis was brought back as a friend of was because she is dating John Janssen, and production wanted to be also sloppy, messy ass drama queens. if they would not have gotten together, she would not have came back as a friend of. I think that's kind of like fucked up, right? The ladies, they have their cash trip in London, so I'm kind of excited about that. I'm kind of interested in seeing that. I don't think Alexis goes on that cash trip because Shannon is the one that is planning it and she invites the other ladies, but she seems like she's sending Alexis a text message that says something like, you're not invited. And yeah, the mid-season trailer looks really exciting and the season's pretty good. I'm interested in the cast. I'm interested in what's going on. I am specifically most interested in Jen and Ryan, Shannon, and not so much about the Alexis John Janssen bullshit because again, like I don't want to see Alexis or John Janssen on my TV screen. But what I am interested is like the conflict that she has with Tamra. I'm also interested in like, you know, her DUI, her trying to work on her sobriety or acknowledging her sobriety at least. And that also kind of made me like Gina a little bit more on this episode because Tamra, she was saying to Gina, oh, when you got your DUI, you didn't have an alcohol problem. And Gina was like, no, I did have an alcohol problem. And what she said is absolutely 100% true. She was like, nobody can acknowledge it except for yourself. And you can't make somebody acknowledge that. That person has to be ready to acknowledge that they have a drinking problem. And, you know, she said all of that. She said it in her confessional and she said it to Tamra also. And that really made me respect her a lot because anything with like addiction and alcoholism, you know, I don't think she's an alcoholic, but I do admire the fact that she said, no, I did have a drinking problem. And you know, and I also kind of felt like that took the wind out of Tamra's sails a little bit because I felt like she was trying to gas Gina up to win her over to her side. Shannon said something which I felt is also very true. She said to Tamra that, you know, you have been in very compromising positions yourself. And Tamra said something like, well, have I ever driven into somebody's house? But listen, just because you haven't driven into somebody's house does not make any of your compromising positions any less distasteful, shameful, whatever you want to call it. She was trying to bake Shannon to get a reaction. That's really the episode, guys. What did you think of the episode? Did you watch that little like mini recap that Katie was narrating with like the mid-season trailer and all this other stuff? What do you guys think of the episode so far? Do you like it? What do you think about Tamra, Alexis, the $75,000? Let me ask you guys, what do you think? A loan or a gift? I personally think it's a gift, but let me know what you guys think. And I cannot wait because, okay, House of Villains season 2 is coming in October. It's on the E! Network. They'll probably air it on Peacock though, because E! is part of NBC Universal. So I'm really excited for that. I'm excited to see Teresa Giudice on there. I'm also looking forward to the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City coming back for their season. So that's pretty exciting also. There you have it, guys. All right. I will check you guys out next time. Bye.